The moment I realized he'd sold my car, something cold and deliberate settled in my chest. I had walked into the garage expecting to see my silver Camry where I left it, only to find emptiness. "Where's my car?" I had asked, calm but sharp. He sneered at me, eyes sharp with contempt. "Why would a useless housewife like you even need a car?" That word, useless, hung between us, heavier than any betrayal I'd ever known. I clenched my fists, but I didn't shout, I didn't cry, I didn't give him the satisfaction. Instead, I noticed the way his hands trembled when he refilled his glass of whiskey. Subtle, telling. The truth had a way of leaking through the smallest cracks. It hadn't started with the car. It had begun months ago, in tiny shifts. Late-night calls that ended abruptly when I entered the room. Unfamiliar fragrances on his jacket. Texts I pretended not to notice. I had wanted to believe, but instinct rarely lies. I began keeping quiet notes, cataloging everything, storing evidence like a predator observing prey. Our marriage had once been a fortress. I remember our first date, the hesitant smiles, the warmth in his eyes when he promised me a life together. I'd trusted him with my world, and he had pawned it all for her, his side chick, his little secret indulgence. But I didn't break, not yet. I let him think I was shocked, hurt, vulnerable. I let him underestimate me. The day I found the documents in the car he sold, when my stepdaughter came storming in, face white and furious, holding a stack of papers, was the day I decided it was time. Her rage mirrored mine, and in her hands were contracts, receipts, bank statements, proof of his financial treachery, proof he had built a fantasy on lies at the cost of our family. I watched him squirm when she confronted him. I stayed in the background, silent, letting him feel the weight of what he had done. And that's when the planning began. No impulsive revenge, no shouting matches, just a strategy, meticulous and controlled. I started by freezing accounts linked to the car sale, ensuring any financial maneuver he tried would be blocked. I contacted the institutions where he had been funneling money for his clandestine escapades. Each call, each email was a thread pulling his web of lies apart. He thought he could manipulate, charm, and charm again. But I had the ledger, the receipts, the undeniable proof. I manipulated the timing, every move calculated for maximum impact. I let him think he was winning, that I was defeated. I watched him lean on me for emotional support, while I quietly built the foundation for his collapse. When the day came, it was simple. I sat across from him at our kitchen table, his eyes desperate, calculating, trying to gauge if I'd caught wind of his latest misstep. "I need a small loan," he said, voice low, almost pleading, the audacity of it cutting deeper than his betrayals ever could. I looked at him, and for the first time, I smiled. Calm, precise, lethal. "You can have it," I said, and his face lit with the faintest glimmer of hope. Then I delivered the condition. One stipulation, one undeniable truth he couldn't wiggle out of. He would have to admit everything in writing, including the financial and emotional betrayals, and sign over control of all assets he had misused. The silence after my words was satisfying. He looked like a man realizing his puppets had all cut their strings. For the first time, I watched him understand that his charm, his bluster, his excuses were worthless. The car, the money, the lies, they were all trapped in a net of his own making, and I was holding the rope. My stepdaughter stayed by my side, unwavering, her respect cemented. She wanted nothing to do with him, and I didn't blame her. I had chosen empowerment over vengeance, for her, for me. He had assumed we'd crumble under deception. Instead, we stood taller, untouchable. Sitting here now recounting it, I feel no hatred, only clarity. The calm satisfaction of a plan executed flawlessly, of justice served not with chaos, but with intelligence. I'm not the broken woman he once mocked. I'm the one holding the map of his ruin, and he is finally following it. Sometimes I look at that empty garage and think of the car. It's not the metal or the wheels I care about. It's the symbol, the proof that a housewife, a stepmother, someone he deemed useless can orchestrate the perfect reckoning. And that, in the end, is worth more than any car, any money, any lie he ever thought he could hide behind. I sip my coffee, steady and unshakable, knowing the rest of his life will be a careful dance around the consequences he never saw coming. Justice, it seems, is quieter and sweeter than revenge.